All right, EOC explained. All right, today we are going to go over question 13. If several pea plants with the genotype big T, big Y, little y are crossed with pea plants with the genotype big T, little y, what percentage of the offspring will be expected to have big T, big Y, little y allele combination? Okay, a lot of letters here. Let's do what awesome people do. Let's highlight some stuff. Here we go. So this one, we focus on a few key points, and this one will be a piece of cake, right? So first thing we highlighted, big T, big Y, little y. So this is one of the, quote, parent ones, right? So we're crossing that one with the one on the far left, big T, little y, little y. And overall, we're trying to find what percentage of the offspring will have big T, big Y, little y, right? So this is not going to be very hard. So first off, what are we going to do first? We're going to take big T, big Y, little y. So let's take that one. Those are the three we're focused on. The one on the right should be, inside the Punnett square, inside our cross. So let's look at big T, big Y, little y first. Bam. So what do we do first? So just think of this as algebra, right? So let's focus on the first big T. So we're going to take the first big T, and we are going to cross it with big Y and then cross it with little y. So let's set this up. So you should have four genotypes all together, and you'll see in just a second. So first, big T with big Y. Bam, write that down. Good. So that's the first cross on the top. Now let's look at that second purple line. Big T with little y. Bam, let's do that cross. All right, so we've done that. Now remember, that was only dealing with the first big T. Notice both of those lines go back to the first big T. Now we have to do the same thing to the second big T, right? So we just did it with the first big T. I get it that it's going to be pretty much the same since they're both big T's. But don't worry about that, we're going to do it anyways. So as I said, we're going to have four of them. So let's do it in a different color so it becomes more clear. The second big T will be crossed with the big Y. And then the second big T will be crossed with little y. As I said, yes, did we do the same thing? Yes, but we have to cross both letters with both letters, right? So that's why we did two different colors there. So that one is done. We've set up the one parent right there. Now let's cross the other one. Or let's split up the other one, rather. So we did that one. Now let's do the one on the far left, big T, little y, little y. Cool. So let's do that in a different color so it's clear. We'll do that in orange. So we have big T, little y, little y. First things first, we have to, remember we're crossing both letters, right? So big T is going to go with the first little y, just like that. Now, big T is going to go with the second little y, right? So you're going to have four altogether. So big T goes with the first little y, big T goes with the second little y. Now, let's go to little t. Little t goes with the first little y, little t goes with the second little y. Alright, so now we are done with that. Let's begin our crossing, right? So first things first, let's keep it color-coded so we know what goes where. So big T connects to big T, and then you have big Y with little y. Cool, so that's the first one, right? So let's do the rest. So big T with big T, little y with little y. Then the next one, see if you can do that by yourself. Alright, hopefully you did it already. Big T with big T, big Y with little y, and then big T with big T, little y with little y. So we see how we crossed that there? We kind of color-coded it so it should be all set up, and hopefully it's a little bit easier to read, right? So we're going to finish this. It is Friday, so I feel like this is appropriate. We're going to finish this slowly, and we're going to rock out while we do that. Alright, so we did it. We finished them all. Hopefully you guys take a second, double check that, and make sure you got the same thing that I got. Alright, so now we've done all our crosses. We've taken care of the big T, big Y, little y. We know that, as it says in the question, it's crossing with big T, little y, little y. So those things are crossing. And now let's remember, because we might have forgotten, what's the original question? If we cross those two together, what percentage of the offspring, which the offspring's all inside the boxes, right, will be expected to have big T, big Y, little y. So the hard part's done. So let's see. Let's focus in. Let's use pink. Let's focus in. What are we trying to find in the offspring? Well, we're trying to find big T, little y. So anytime we see big T, and also big Y, little y, remember they have to have everything in that. They can't just have big T. They have to have big T, and also big Y, little y. We'll circle that. So let's look. Bam, 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 bam. Those are the ones I see. Big T, big Y, little y, right? I see 4 right now. We crossed out the middle ones there because, they had all little y's, and we know the Y part was heterozygous, right? It should have one of each. So we cross those out. Let's look at the rest of them. Bam, 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 bam. All right, remember, it also wants us to have the homozygous big T. So those are all heterozygous T, means one of each size. So those are crossed out, and the remaining 2 on the top are homozygous for small y. In other words, they have both small y's. And if we remember from the thing we circled in pink, we want one big y, one small y. So bam, we can cross those out. All right, so how many things do you see are the genotype that we're supposed to see? Well, you should see 4, right? We circled 4 of them. So now we got to convert that into a percentage. Okay, so we know that 4 is going to go on the numerator, right? How many are there total? Well, it's 4 rows and 4 columns, so 4 times 4. You count it up individually, you can do the math. 4 times 4 should equal 16, right? So now, let's first, before we try to figure this out, let's reduce it. 4 over 16 should reduce to 1/4. All right, so hopefully you're not using a calculator. If you want to, that's fine, but just think of it as a dollar. If you break a dollar into 4 parts, it's 4 quarters, right? So 1 out of 4 should convert to 25%. With that being said, there's no magic here. There's only one that's 25% and the rest are not. So we got 4 out of 16. That's 25% chance if we cross those 2 that the genotype of the offspring will be big T, big Y, little y. That is it, guys. That is successful question answered. Have an awesome day.